Fern Gully not subtle enough for you? Let me give you Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. The environmental film of the comic book world. When you really think about it, there isn't actually a lot of environmentally message. There isn't a lot of comic book films with environmental messages behind them. But this is straight out an environmental save the planet kind of film. But with a character like Aquaman that deals with the ocean, the effects our world has on their world, vice versa, you can get away with that to a certain degree. Obviously, I had my out of the theater reaction to this yesterday, which let me check real quick. Where does that stand in terms of viewership? I'm wondering, because I did it on a whim, because A, I wanted to just try something new. B, it's one of those things that can kind of help expand the channel. Although, to be honest, channel expansion at this point in time is not something I'm overly concerned about. I have my status quo of stuff I do, and I'm very content with that. If I were making money off the channel, it'd be a lot more of a priority, but no. But ultimately, look, I got 88 views on that. And for me, that's successful. That means enough people saw that and liked it that I can warrant doing more of those. Except for some of my types of videos, like my what ifs. If a what if only got like 50 views, then it'd be a problem. But with any of my other videos, if I can get at least 50 views, I consider that a freaking win. So yeah, I'll probably continue to do more of those. I probably will not be doing one for Migration, just because when I'm going to end up seeing Migration will be next week, and by then there's no point doing an out of the theater reaction to that, just because it's not recent. I'd want to only do an out of the theater reaction for a film that just came out. But I digress. So, Aquaman and Lost Kingdom. I'm going to parrot a lot of what I said in my out of the theater reaction, but I am going to elaborate on it a bit more. This film takes everything that was problematic with the first Aquaman, but good about the first Aquaman, and kind of amps it on both sides of the fence. On one hand, the character dynamics are still a lot of fun. I've heard a lot of people kind of say this, and actually it's a very good point. Jason Momoa is being a lot more Jason Momoa than Arthur Curry in this. And by the way, I know Aquaman, Arthur Curry, has like different looking eyes compared to other people. It's like, I remember they showed us clips from the original movie. His eyes are almost like a very bright blue, almost like white almost, kind of, but a little bit of gold there. Here, I don't know what's going on with those contact lenses, but oh my god, that got distracting in a couple scenes. It's like he didn't have any pupils. His pupils were so small because of the contacts he was wearing. But he's still, look, Jason Momoa just loves having these opportunities. He was the best thing hands down about Fast X. He loves playing these just like wild characters. Yeah, he loves playing that, and it shows. His charm is very infectious, but it also translates to other people. His scenes with his father, Tamora Morrison, are actually probably some of the best acting scenes and dialogue scenes in the movie, when they're just talking and kind of relating about struggles and what Arthur's going through versus what his dad went through raising him. You buy it. You buy that these guys are father and son, and they've had this connection for years and this bond for years, and they love each other. You buy it. I love seeing Tamora Morrison in anything. Come on. Patrick Wilson. I love me Patrick Wilson. Just about anything he'll show up in. Honestly, I like him more in this movie than I did in the original movie too. That's one of the few things I think this film does better, is with Patrick Wilson's character, because we get to see Orm after he's been caught. Then obviously he gets broken out of prison and he has to go help Aquaman. But along the way, it is kind of not quite a road trip movie, but it's an adventure movie with these two actually spending the time to talk with each other for a change and finally get a chance to know each other better. And you get to see their sibling dynamic, and it's a fun dynamic, honestly. They go to this like pirate cantina, which is basically just Jabba's palace / Mos Eisley is what it is. Complete with its own Martin Short Jabba the Hutt figure with his hot octopus women. When I'm like, would I? My last name, by the way, is actually Fish. So I'm like, my last name is Fish, but would I? They're not real, you idiot. But would But no. So there's some fun interactions there. Interactions were on this island that Black Manta's hiding out on at one point, and like a lot of wacky shenanigans happening on the island. So they got a good dynamic. I like them. Plus, seeing a lot of the side characters come back. Dolph Lundgren returns with arguably a bigger role here than he had in the original. He actually gets to do some action, which is fun. Not a lot, but I mean, still gets to see some action. Amber Heard is perfectly okay taking whatever you feel about her as a person out of the equation and just focus on what she's doing in the movie. She is perfectly fine. It's a gross joke, but there's a joke involving his son taking a leak. Because it's like a kid, he points out, like, yeah, my son's got great aim, never misses. And then a moment he dodges, and Mara, being able to pretty much bend water, just bends it back in his face. It's stupid, but it is funny. So yeah, like the characters are all pretty solid, with the exception in Randall Park. What's his name? Is it Randall Park? I think that's his name, Randall Park, from was it Community? He's Jimmy Woo and the MCU. That actor, you know what I'm talking about. The Chinese actor. Or no, is he Korean? I don't know. The Asian actor. That sounds a little like, oh, that's how you identify. I'm pretty sure that's his name, Randall Park. Anyway, no, he's in there. He's got a more expanded role. He's fine. The issue from a character standpoint I do have, though, is with Manta. Now, Manta is a lot more threatening here. He's posing a legit threat here. And when he's being imposing, that works because was it Yaya? Yaya is a very intimidating dude. At least in terms of how he can present himself. He's a physically very intimidating dude. But there's not a lot of likability in him. Like, there's scenes where he actually has some personality beyond just the straight revenge. There's a line he has when he first sees Aquaman again. I'm like, okay, that's some good banter. And then he's got one scene with Randall Park's character where there's definitely a little levity, but it's like a sinister levity. But apart from that, he doesn't have a lot of personality still, comparatively, even compared to the first one. The first one, you actually bought his rage, and you didn't root for him because he and his father were criminals and pirates and murderers. But you at least bought it a lot more and could see the justification for kind of rooting for him sometimes. Here, there's no liking him that much. He's good at what he's doing, being a threat, but he's just, there's at no point are you like, yes, Manta. No, you're like, oh man, Manta's a dick. Like, Manta's all because of his dad. All because of his dad. Yeah, I will avenge my father. Dude, you and your father are criminals who have murdered people. And you honestly think you have a high ground here? Any sort of moral high ground whatsoever. And the fact is, he's planning to do some messed up stuff, and it just makes him unsympathetic in any way, period. Now, maybe that is the point, but that still doesn't help the movie. Other things to comment. The action sequences are pretty good, too. The final confrontation with Manta and Aquaman is actually really good. Like, when they're going toe-to-toe with each other, it looks good. It's, like, really well choreographed. I was like, whoa, damn, this is actually really good. There are other action sequences that are a lot of fun, too. And the world, the culture, the environment of Atlantis, these creatures, these concepts, they're all still really cool. With that said, however, this film is a mess. It was notoriously going through a lot of production issues, and it shows. This script is not the worst script I've ever seen. By far, it's not the worst script I've ever seen. But it is a very cut-and-paste cookie cutter script. Someone in my Out of the Theater reaction video commented that that's kind of been comic book movies for a while now. And I'll disagree with that. There are always going to be tropes that show up in comic book movies. And maybe you could say cut and paste from them. But that doesn't make every if I were to look at just the comic book movies that came out this year, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania definitely had some cookie cutter plot points. Definitely. Or cookie cutter script issues. But there's also some originality there too. Absolutely. With Kang, concept of the quantum realm, so forth and so there's definitely some originality there. I will definitely say Guardians of the Galaxy is not cookie cutter. I mean, again, trope aside for certain things, but every movie's going to have tropes. So it's not about if you're reusing tropes. It's about, are you telling it in a way that at least still seems palatable to us, that we're not groaning while watching it? With Guardians, I don't think most people are not going to complain about that. With Ant-Man, a chunk of people are going to complain about that. But Shazam, you know what? Shazam definitely had some, but Shazam was still pretty fun. And there was definitely some tropes that were, or some script moments that I'm like, okay, wasn't quite sure about that, or didn't quite see that coming. Flash definitely stood out, I think, from having some cookie cutter stuff, but B, some real originality in it. But then you get to this. Oh, and the Marvels. Marvels, yeah, cookie cutter, cut and paste on that one. I can't back up anything. Although there was still some originality with the Flurkin stuff. There was still some originality there. And the all singing Disney Planet. There was still some originality, but if you want to talk about a cut and paste. This one, though, oh my God. The villain's plan, he's turning into an eco-terrorist. The relationship, the whole, oh, they don't like me, so I can't get anything done thing. I'm from two worlds, that's why they don't like me. Oh no, my son's in danger trope. Oh no. Like, it's along with the plot points, and I just bare bones it right there. The dialogue is there is good dialogue. Like I said, eighth moment with Aquaman and Tamora Morrison's pretty good, but then you get lines like Krill Brain. I'm like, what? No, stop. It's a cockroach. I'm not gonna say what happens in the scene, but there's dialogue in there like, this feels like 12th grade fan fiction. The 6th grade fan fiction a little bit. Like, it's not the worst written thing in the world, but it definitely does not feel like top tier writers wrote this. So yeah, it's very problematic. Add on to the fact that there are points where they kind of, there's like a slow mo, there's like a slow mo rage shot for Aquaman point when he realizes something has happened, and then it just cuts. I'm like, why are we doing it that way? No. The effects. So the original Aquaman did have some pretty decent effects. Once in a while, something didn't stand out quite as well, but for the most part, it was pretty solid effects. Here, oh man, when there's a bad effect, you can see it. Oh, you can see it, and it is not good. When they show the birth of his son, I'm looking at it like, that's a CGI baby right there. Now, as far as CGI babies go, that's one among the better CGI babies I've seen, but that is a CGI baby right there. Yeah, and that's like the lesser of the bad effects. But then you get some of the backgrounds, which I'm looking like, this would be great on a computer screen in a video game. Not for which reminds me, what is the budget on this? Aquaman Lost Kingdom budget. Let's find out. It's been on the backlog for a good while now. Budget. What is the alleged budget of this? All right, the alleged budget is $205 million. That sounds about right. Oh wait, hold on. Oh yeah, no, it's the right one. Yeah, that sounds about right. 205 million. I was assuming it was probably in the 200 range. I don't see, like the rest of the DCU this year, do not see this making its money back at all. I think they're projecting it for the mid to high 30 millions this week for an opening. Ooh. It does have the advantage of Christmas on Sunday, though. Monday. It does have that, and Christmas Eve Sunday. So it does have that going for it. But that doesn't mean a lot here. Uh, yeah, it really just looks half-assed. Half-assed. The problem, continuing on with the script, is the fact that there's never really a chance for a lot of moments to breathe and kind of sit for a moment. Arthur and Orrin, Patrick Wilson and Jason Momoa, do have a lot of fun chemistry together as like a sibling bickering rivalry, whatever you want to call it. But they do have moments where they talk to each other and let things linger, or at least try to. There's one point where they're talking about food, and he's like, "You've never had any of it. You let your prejudice of our world just stop you from enjoying half the world." And you actually stop and see Orm kind of contemplate that line, and then they go back into just talking about it. There's another scene where they confront the issue about how Arthur took the throne, and the realization that Orm makes is like, "Wait, you never wanted it?" It's like, "Yeah," and then there was nothing. And then they just go into a joke and then just keep going. I'm like, sit with it. Have more conversations like that where these two actually can finally start to relate to each other a bit. And Orm can start saying, okay, maybe he's not the guy I thought he was. And maybe I have been a little pig-headed. Whereas Jason Momoa probably can learn, like, all right, I can learn maybe some stuff from you, and maybe I haven't been taking this as seriously as I should, blah, blah, blah. Let moments like that sit and simmer for a bit. Let the conversation continue for maybe an extra minute. There's a lot of wasted potential here. I'm not saying this would have been like the greatest comic book movie ever made, or the greatest movie ever made, or anything like that, or even like the best comic book movie of the year. That's Guardians of the Galaxy, hands down, the best comic book movie of the year. But it's still... There's still a lot of wasted potential. This film is not as good as it could be. It's not as bad as it could be either. I forgot to mention one other issue I have is the fact that our villain of the film isn't even really the true villain of the film. Because you do see it in the trailer that there is technically a secondary villain in the film. They're kind of throughout the film, but they're not really. They're not doing much. And then they show up, and it's a whole lot of nothing, build up for nothing. Like, the concept of what we're dealing with is really cool. I keep reiterating this point, but it's really important for the Aquaman world that the concepts and the worlds and the mythos and the lore and the cosmology, the ecosystem, all that is really cool. There's really cool ideas here. They're just not fleshed out, or they're barely fleshed out. So it's a real bummer that the DCEU has to go out on this. I will not say it's a complete whimper, but it's not a roaring, like, defiant Leonidas staring down the Persian army roar. No, it's more of a, instead of a, it's more of a, like, you at least coughed at him a little bit. Like, ha, I coughed, you'll get a cold. But yeah, they could have done better with this. They could have done worse, though. They could have done a lot worse. I still had a good time with it. Like I said, in a thumbs up, thumbs down world, I'd probably go thumbs up. But it is not perfect by any stretch of the means. But look, this is just my opinion. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.